Hey guys, Dead Kennedy in Space here. Again, just another quick little note before we get started today. Bit of an unusual one. I'm going to do something a little selfish and do a self shout-out. Me and some friends who will be featured in this video have been working for a long time on a personal project called King of the Kaiju. It's basically a review-style show in which we have been watching every single Godzilla movie ever made, starting in 1954, and we've made it up to 1984, although I don't know if that episode will be out yet when this video goes live. Anyway, what I wanted to do was leave a link to that in the description, and what I'll also do is show you guys the trailer just to give you a feel for what it's like. It's basically a low-budget best of the worst, if you've ever seen Red Letter Media. And if you're interested in that kind of thing, I'd love it if you checked it out. The channel itself isn't really like this channel. There was a little bit of debunking flat earth stuff that I did before I started this channel, but aside from that, it's mostly Let's Plays and kind of entertainment related stuff. But I thought I'd just let people know I do other things. And with that, let's get on with today's video.
In a world of 31 Godzilla movies, we're going to watch every single one of them. Oh!
Welcome back to King of the Kaiju, everybody. Yeah! And today we watched Mothra vs. Godzilla. Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster. Son of Godzilla. All monsters attack. As usual, my name's Kevin. You've gotta be kidding me. That rocket. Yeah! This is great! I'm Cypher.
Why would you make him so ugly?
Majestic AF.
He's just giving up.
I'm mad.
Yeah! Shotgun kick.
How do you borrow monsters? I enjoyed the out of this for some reason.
I'm worried.
Oh, this is gonna be a good episode.
Pray.
Oh, look at that. That creepy fish. Ooh, look at that guy go.
What is happening in this movie?
Let's get ready to rumble.
Yes, same guy. This is like your...
Let's talk about that final fight.
Oh, yes! What the f***? Oh, I lost all hope.
Which was the one that had the fight with this monster? Thank you everyone very much for joining us. If you like this video, please give it a like. If you want to see more, please subscribe to the channel, which is Lazy Alien. And we're out. One thing that's always fascinated me about Flat Earth is the false dichotomy aspect. Flat Earthers believe that there are only two kinds of people in the world. Themselves, the enlightened who have woke up to the deception, and the brainwashed gullible sheep. To them, anyone who isn't a Flat Earther has simply been duped by NASA and the education system. They know nothing on their own, only what they've been told. Now, I've already gone over how people like myself don't fit into their two categories. We don't believe in Flat Earth, but we have also taken extra steps outside of our traditional education to pursue the truth on our own. However, today, what I want to do is address the so-called sheep. What I did was take a few people, some friends of mine, who are mostly uninitiated to Flat Earth, and who only know the globe through their so-called indoctrination, and ask them 5 questions. These questions are the kinds of questions that Flat Earthers ask, the kinds of questions that led them down the road to their current place. The point of this was to see if these uninitiated could come up with the correct answers without any outside help. So, without further ado, let's go through each question and their answers, and then we'll do an assessment afterwards. Question number 1. When a helicopter hovers in the air, why doesn't the Earth continue to spin beneath it?
Well, the Earth does not spin beneath a helicopter when it hovers in the air because of aerodynamics, and the blades are moving the air around and causing lift, creating the actual helicopter to go up. So it's stationary because the blades are moving, not the helicopter.
Well, if the helicopter is hovering in the air, I mean, you don't technically hover in one spot on a helicopter, because the helicopter itself rotates on the rotor as well. So I don't see why the Earth would move.
Well, the best way I could answer that would be gravity.
I'm honestly a little shocked by this one. I think I may have phrased this badly, because both Chris and Matt's answers involved the aerodynamics of the vehicle. What I was getting at here was more about relative motion. The Earth's atmosphere spins with it, so anything within that atmosphere stays parallel to the ground. Basically, the same reason an insect can fly into a moving vehicle and not be immediately splattered on the back window.
I'm like, well, because the Earth spins with its atmosphere, man. It's the same reason when you're driving in your car on the freeway and there's a bee in your car, you don't go, oh my God, an 80-mile-an-hour bee. How is it keeping 90, 95? It's the same reason when Randy Johnson throws a fastball, the second the ball leaves his hand, it doesn't rocket back into his chest at 901 miles an hour. Or if he's throwing with the spin of the Earth, doesn't just throw a Super Saiyan Kamehameha that vaporizes the bat and turns the catcher into a wet cloud of big league chew.
Question number 2. What causes vast bodies of water to stick to a spinning ball, as our oceans do?
I believe what causes vast bodies of water to stick to our spinning ball would be our atmosphere, our several layers of atmosphere. I feel like it has to do with gravity as well, and the density and points, the density of water.
Gravity. Plain and simple. It's a true thing. If I fall, it hurts. I can't fly.
I mean, it's the exact same thing. It'd be the gravitational pull to the Earth. Like, if I jump in the air, I don't just go flying away.
I think I may have to give partial credit to Chris on this one. Our atmosphere is directly correlated with gravity, but the big G is the reason the oceans stick. As a side note, flatties often ask, then why can I pick up some water with my bare hands and negate this epic force? Or why can a bird fly but all water is pushed downward? And the answer is very simple. Your hand and the bird are both exerting an upward force to counter gravity. Water is not. Question number 3. Why are most photos of Earth made of composites by orbiting satellites?
Earth is, the photos of Earth are made by composites by orbiting satellites due to the vast size of the Earth and the fact that there's no particular way to get perfect pictures. There are certain areas where the cameras are gonna change like reels, or they're gonna hit the end of the reel, or et cetera, but there's going to be gaps in any kind of equipment. I mean, unless you're up there with a continuous live stream, you're not gonna be able to, you're gonna have to like piece little bits of the image together, and the bits that they piece over aren't an alteration of the actual terrain. It's just extending it photographically. I know that because I do a lot of digital art.
Because composites are the legitimate easiest to procure as a photograph, rather than negatives, because negatives become see-through, and then adding the proper textiles to it, you would get a proper composite photograph, in my opinion. But at the same time, I'm not 100% sure about that. But it would also be guessing the distance, because like the zoom on them, you can't really compare that to the zoom, say, on a Nikon.
Well, because we do have certain limitations in our technology. So we use editing softwares to kind of piece it together more.
Again, I'm a little surprised. I considered this to be the harder question, since most people don't know a whole lot about how satellites work. However, Savvy's answer of limited technology basically sums it up. Earth is big, really big, and most satellites orbit at a relatively low altitude, so they're physically unable to capture the Earth in a singular photograph. They're not far enough away. Composites like the older Blue Marble photos were our way to make up for this. However, nowadays, we have satellites like the Discover and the Himawari 8, which are at L1 Lagrangian points and can take full photos. Question number 4. Why do rockets curve as they launch, instead of going straight up into space?
Rockets curve when going into space instead of going straight up due to the sheer amount of force going through the several layers of atmosphere, stratosphere, etc., it would tear the rocket asunder, wouldn't it?
I mean, though it's being propelled, I don't know. I mean, aerodynamically, chances are you're never gonna go straight. You're always gonna go on an angle. Like we see with most things, if you were to go straight up, you end up losing velocity quite quickly.
Because of our thick atmosphere.
Again, I didn't exactly expect the average person to understand rocketry or orbital mechanics, so I'm not surprised at the answers here. The answer to this has to do with the destination. Generally, rockets are headed for an orbit around Earth, so they begin lining themselves up with that orbit almost immediately. Even if the destination is further, like the Moon or Mars, they still generally enter an Earth orbit first, and then do a burn to leave Earth and align with the final target. If the rocket were to travel straight up and then turn, it's going to require a lot more fuel, and therefore a lot more weight. An imperfect analogy is to imagine making a turn in a car. Do you turn the wheel gradually and curve into it? Or do you go forward 20 feet, turn 90 degrees on a dime, and then go forward again? Question number 5. Why can't you see any stars in most photos of space?
Because most cameras, unless fitted with a special lens, aren't able to pick up the same levels of refractions of light as our the same as our eyes are. At least I think that's what that is.
I don't remember the answer to this one. But I mean, I don't actually have an answer for that, to be honest.
I think that would have something to do with the shutter speed, and I guess the stars would be more faint.
Now, this one is a little closer to home for more people. Photography is a lot easier to understand than rocket science, so this was to be expected. Savvy's answer is the most correct. A camera's shutter speed determines its exposure time, which determines how much light it will pick up. With a shorter exposure time, bright objects in the foreground, like the Earth, the Moon, the ISS, or an astronaut's white suit, are reflecting far more light than the distant stars. However, a longer exposure time without any of these brighter distractions can yield gorgeous photos such as this. Okay, so the final scores are Savvy at 3 out of 5, Matt at 2.5 out of 5, and Chris at 2 out of 5. Well, not as good as I would have hoped. The point of this experiment was to first see how much the average person knows about the kind of things flatties ask questions about, but also to see how they got their answers. You can see from these answers that my friends weren't simply regurgitating information from a textbook. They were thinking it through. They were figuring things out for themselves, using things that they know for sure, the forces of gravity, the atmosphere, how technology works, and so forth. My point here was to expose that the average person is not a sheep when it comes to the globe. Whether their answers were correct or not, I have succeeded. I'd like to give a thank you to my friends Chris, Savvy, and Matt for participating in this experiment today. Thank you guys very much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a like, and if you want to see more, please subscribe to my channel, which is Dead Kennedy in Space. My name is Kevin, and I'm out.
Like it or not, for the moment, the Earth is where